I found myself a cheerleader. I feel like I'm almost looking in the mirror. You just have blonde hair. I have darker hair. I'm like we've got it all kind of styled the same way. I meant Benny. I'm not Amirah. I meant Benny. I'm kidding.
Okay. A little confused there. Didn't quite get it, but now I do.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a great show like we always do. You guys, welcome. It's the Gratitude Cafe. Hello, Pacific Northwest. Hello, Italy. Hello, Rome. To all of my Canadians, hello. I love you all dearly. If you're listening to this after the live show, please give us a 5-star, 6-star, 8-star, whatever star, not whatever, just the biggest star rating that you can. iTunes, SoundCloud, all of that. And share the love, spread us around. I want to remind all of you of the new website and name. It's claritywithsue.com. Write that down. I've been doing this for over 10 years. Y'all should know my name. It's Sue. Right, Benny? I mean, got over 10 years, right? The names of the shows have changed, but it's still me. Go to the website, claritywithsue.com. We've got some freebies. Sign up for the newsletter. Lots of good things.
Congratulations on your new venture. I mean, officially, yeah, right?
Officially, thank you. And yeah, Clarity with Sue just nails what's the hammer?
Yeah. Working.
Was I going with it? You can see me. See my little nail with the hammer?
There you go.
That's for the YouTube world, all right? All right. Speaking of which, YouTubers, to all of you, if you'd like to join us from radio over to the YouTube world, we'd love for you to come do that. Noodle with us, see us goofing off, loving on you, educating you. Do that internationally, of course, on YouTube. Just type in 1150 or KKNW, you'll find us. I have all of my links to the show notes, all of that will be in the newsletter. So be sure that you get the newsletter. It's claritywithsue.com newsletter. Boop, done. And if you go to claritywithsue.com, you'll also find all the links for the social media and my coaching, readings, all the juicy, sexy, yummy stuff. We're gonna be, dancing in quantum soup and practicality and choosing love and trust, as the sign says behind me. For those in radio world, you got to go to YouTube to see that. All right. I feel like I've had my Wheaties today. My energy's buzzing. It must be the guests today. So right. It's just, there's something.
Well, it's not me, because it's
something's going on in the energy today. I feel it. Are you feeling it, Benny?
Always.
Benny, I didn't say good morning to you. I mean, I did, but I kind of did.
Hey, you just confused me with somebody else. That's totally fine.
Yes. It's totally. The hair. It's the hair. Yes, or the lack of the hat.
That's why I'm wearing it.
Yes. All right, you guys, I did enough with Clarity with Sue. My stuff, you know how to find me. Sign up for the newsletter. I am going to introduce you to our guest today. I feel like there's this kinship and energetic thing that's happening. So let me get to the formal bio, and then I'm going to bring the guest on and we're going to noodle with her, get to know her frequency, her energy, her why, and educate and love on you. So stay tuned. All right. Amirah Hall is a gifted clairvoyant, spiritual medium, channel, and quantum healing pioneer. Yes. With over 40 years of her spiritual journey, Amirah's world-class psychic, spiritual mentor, and author. Her spiritual awakening was triggered after her father's death, divorce, and life-threatening autoimmune disease. It was further amplified with a near-death experience while traveling in Egypt when her gifts of the psychic, that really in Egypt? Of course it did. Of course it did. Oh, and by the way, happy International Women's Day.
Whoa, that's magical, huh?
Right? Okay, wait a minute. I'm just going to stop the press here, girl. Talk to me. Literally, really? All these trials and tribulations and finding yourself. It's like almost the same conversation with me, but I want the audience to get to know you, your why, and how you got to where you're at. Yes, there's the medical and the psychic, but I'm going to let you take the reins and let's have that conversation so people can get to know you.
I just want you to know that with all my heart, I am just so excited and pleased and honored to be here with you and all your guests. And shout out to all of my Canadian friends, my kins, because I hail from Canada originally. Yeah. So, it's been a 40-year journey of really, really, as a curious seeker. Of course, I'm a wee bit older than 40, but it's been a long time. And, some of the things that have happened, I've long forgotten. And some of the modalities I've studied and some of the certifications that I don't even put them on the wall. It's like I get a bit bored, honestly. And I'm maybe I should humble myself a wee bit and just back up and say, all of that has created and brought me to here and now. I think, a real strong conversation that I've been experiencing amongst people right now, a real hot button happens to be spiritual awakening. There seems to be a resurgence of this happening, and maybe you've seen it in your own work. People are just having maybe it's been the past 2 years of trauma that, has bubbled up and simmered some of our long suppressed issues, our fears, our inadequacies, all of these patterns that we've suppressed either through being a hard charger, an A-type personality in your career, or perhaps your relationship just crumbled and melted away, or you got sick, or you were so afraid of getting sick that, pardon me, you're making yourself sick.
Yes. all of the above, right? And
so I'm getting choked up here. It's almost like spirit wants to come through me, and I'm not quite sure whose energy wants to be expressed fully besides my own, but
well, if you want, the stage is yours. If spirit has a message and you want to have that conversation, absolutely.
It will come out, I'm sure. Yeah. Trust the space. Yeah. And so, where was I? I was just lost. I got to a point of, like you said in my bio, is, the divorce, my dad's death. That's when I first started to question and wonder what was beyond here and now, and what was my life all about. I think in that moment, I realized, and I had healed a very turbulent relationship that I had with my dad most of my life. It was a normal family. What can I say? Dysfunctional and alcoholic. I mean, that was normal for me growing up. Oh. And so I got to a point of accepting him for where he was, and our relationship began to heal. And when he passed away, I was shocked at how much stuff I had repressed that started to come to the surface, that it literally, completely immobilized me at some times. And I read Dr. Raymond Moody's book. I think it's called Life After Life. And that was my first introduction to the possibility that we live forever. And I was raised Catholic, so that was kind of a stretch, even though in my teens and my when I was a younger girl, my deceased relatives were coming to me all the time. I was getting messages. But this was, I didn't have a validating family in this regard. And so I dismissed it, I suppressed it. And I really do believe this is what's happening for a lot of people, is their spiritual abilities are getting cranked up. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know who to turn to with it, or how to trust it or depend on it.
And be scared, because I know, like you, I was petrified waking up and I've got somebody laying behind me, or, hearing things. I'm like, am I going nuts? What's happening? And if, like you, not really having that supportive family that you can really go say, hey, grandma or so-and-so was just talking to me, who do you go to? Right.
Or having visions, you're out with your friends on a camping
smells.
trip. Yeah, you get a vision that your grandfather's passing, and you're like, what do I need to wear to the funeral? Well, excuse me, he hasn't passed. What are you talking about? And so I was always the black sheep. I was like, they called me, and to use your word, shiitake disturber. Shiitake disturber. Yes. I was always saying things that would hit the fan and just send everybody into orbit. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not true. And so, my path, I love your word on your board, because trust and truth have been my guiding lights, trusting myself and finding the truth, whatever it is, give it to me. That's who I am as a personality. I want to know it, even if it's painful. There's been times that
if I have the information, I can then deal with it.
I can then make another choice that will be better for me.
Yes.
And so my whole journey is about learning how to trust myself. And, in a world of chaos right now that we're all being bombarded from every angle, it's like, whoa, which day is the wind going to turn?
Yes.
It's like, stop it all. Stop it. Stop the spin. And I love what you were talking with your last on your last show with Dr. Mark is, tuning into the breath. I take it a little bit further. I need something to make myself physically in a different way reset. And for me, it's a grounding cord. Ooh. And that's part of what I teach my students, right from the base of my spine, anchoring. Perhaps it's because I'm such an out of control empath, and everybody.
Let's have that conversation, because that, I find myself, the whole empathic, I have to constantly remind myself, that's not yours. 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 It's okay. And I do that, but I forget about the grounding, because it's something that it's just, I don't even think, like brushing your teeth. I just am.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of what I teach people in part of my trainings is we first got to get present. And how do we do that? Because you're a strong intellect and you've really developed your mind, as many people who are listening to us right now. And I have too. We've got great training from all of our schooling and all of our education. So the work now, my guides are telling me, is not about your intellect.
Wow.
And it's almost like, the intellect. Bleep the internet, or not the internet. That's funny. Okay, so everybody can read our minds. Read my lips. Okay, I'm not. So, so it's like, how do I get present? And you said, like, okay, that's not mine. Well, when you're so sensitive, and some people that claim they're not sensitive, I believe, are becoming more sensitive, only they don't know it.
And they don't. And back to that word trust, because, and in my experience, whether it's myself or other people within the industry or not, it's first gaining the ground and the basis of who I am, where I'm at, how I'm going to show up, so I can trust the choices. If I'm grounded, if I'm solid within myself, and I'm getting hits, psychic hits or feelings, like the audience knows this, there was a dog that was ill, and I said, I'd love to go and give him and facilitate a healing. Well, again, it's that trusting in self, and you do the mental check. And on my way over there, I was feeling sick. I felt like I had diarrhea. I just was like, oh, did I eat? So I went through that grounding and mental check, similar to when you have a baby and it's crying and it can't communicate, and you're going through that mental check. Is the diaper, is it fed? It's the same type of thing. But where I'm going with this, ground yourself, breath yourself, and trusting in who you are. But first, you've got to figure that out. And you alluded to that at the top of the hour when we were coming into this show, and really building on that self-trust and its experiences.
Oprah is a person to me that when you see her, and perhaps it's part of her TV persona, but I don't think so. She's very grounded. She's very present. There's an energetic, a frequency about her that is right there with you in the moment.
Yes.
And that's why she commands the audience. And I know it wasn't always like that for her.
Yeah.
That's a great, upfront example. We like to be around people that are grounded. Why? They make us feel safe. they make us remember and feel good about ourselves. They
Mhm.
kind of bring it, it's sort of like an unconscious check-in. And they're saying,
Or
spirit to
you're like,
spirit,
oh God,
hello.
yeah.
An
Hello.
acknowledgement. It's
Yeah.
a spirit to spirit acknowledgement. Because in the work I do, I teach people and guide people to learn to bring your spirit, that energetic vibration of yourself, in alignment with your physical body. See, nobody taught us this.
Mhm.
And this is actually what springboarded me into the work I do, is from my near-death experience. While I was in Egypt, I did get this download of information of how we, and so this is where the quantum stepped in. I didn't have these words in 1998. I didn't know what I was seeing. I didn't know what was happening to me. But in that experience, I stepped into the Akashic records and they showed me, I mean, I'm assigning that word to it. I can't really be sure. Back in 1998, my perspective of it was, I'm in this vibration and I see a timeline and I saw my life review.
Mhm.
And what they showed me was everywhere on my literal timeline where I had emotions and thoughts and decisions and patterns that were stuck. And they explained to me that that was what created my illness, were those patterns of emotions that I continued to, keep alive. And of course, when you can't see it, how can you identify it? How can you unplug it, right? Or uproot it. And so then I understood later down the road when I discovered Deepak Chopra, is that, oh, I was in the quantum field. I was literally seeing the patterns. It was like a moving, spiraling kaleidoscope of patterns.
Oh, beautiful.
And when I finally understood we are multidimensional, but I had that reality sort of embedded in me now in my mind. It was so real. Then I realized, oh, geez, Louise, holy shiitake,
Hockey.
I need tools.
Yes.
And when I came back, I suffered for about 9 months in depression and anger and fear and anguish. I just hated being here. I thought it was America because I was having my bliss moment in Egypt.
Yes.
But when I came back, it was even more important because that's where I realized I was walking in the land of paper dolls. I literally, when I got off the airplane at JFK, I saw these walking paper dolls. And then by the time I got to San Diego, it was like, oh my God, I'm one of them. I'm living in a two-dimensional reality and I have no real perception of who I am, where I'm going and what this is all about.
Mm.
And so after I started to learn and process releasing those old patterns, mostly emotions, that's when, I slowly started to find my GPS. And here I
I
am.
love that. Thank you. And I love the language that you're using, the GPS, the navigation system, because it is that. And there's a grounding practicality to that. And I have used that myself because you need that. You need and you need to have some kind of navigation system, whatever that looks like to you.
Right.
And it could be a religion, it could be, and I say a dogma, whatever that, it could be purple chopsticks. If that's what works for you, use it. Be that human that is beautiful and creating magic within your life for you. Authentic and genuine are really big anchor words for me, to show up authentic and genuine. But first, again, going back to what does that really look like and feel like? So
right. And here's the other thing is, everybody's on a path of trying to find what that real thing is that they can stick to.
Trying on hats, right?
Well, and so I say, because I've done that, that's good. But at this point, my commentary on that is, you know what, we don't have much time. This is D-Day time. I've been talking about this for 2 decades. We are at a pivotal point for humanity on the planet. And you need to find a teacher or a mentor or some, or, modality and stick to it.
Yeah.
Enough already with jumping around to 50 different YouTube, download YouTube and in your sleep, you're going to heal. I mean, it's just quantum BS. Sorry.
Almost put that in there.
My Canadian's coming out. No, it's serious. Seriously, it's just my pet peeve. And, find a teacher, find a modality or something that resonates with you so that you can stick with it, and somebody that is going to be there for you, because it's not all peaches and cream.
Let's unpack that, because it's, well, one, when you seek out that teacher, vet them.
Yes.
Hands down, it's not about somebody healing you. This is accountability and responsibility. You got to put the boots on, sisters and brothers. It is all about overcoming those old patterns, all that energetic, physical stuff. You will walk that talk. You will cross that bridge of initiation, whatever that is for you and your soul and your path. By saying that, you need to find a trusted adversary, a trusted facilitator, somebody that's going to hold that space and educate you, and not Pollyanna it, it's
Exactly.
yeah.
Or give you the real truth.
Yeah,
and not
real truth.
give you
Yeah.
a card reading that's going to tell you Mr. Wonderful's going to show up in a month or two. I mean, I believe you attract, and when you're vibrating at a frequency, whatever it is that you desire, that will be drawn to you, and more
and more. It's that frequency. You know what, Amirah, something's coming up for me, and this is, of course, it happens right here. Integrity, trust, and transparency within this work is hands down the foundation. I mean, it just has to be, like the evidential mediumship. Where I'm going with this and finding your trusted adversary and your trusted teacher is, I was on Instagram and I saw somebody who was doing some card readings, and I always pop in to see. I mean, I do them myself, and I've been doing this for years. It's a modality. It all comes from right here, right? Where I'm going with this is, I friended this person just to kind of tap in and see. Immediately, I got, my dear sister, I'm worried about you, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, that was irresponsible. 2, I already know that. Don't. And I unfriended immediately. I was like, okay, so where I'm going with this audience, please, if somebody does that to you, run the other way, shut it down. That's a no.
Yeah, I've had people over the years come to me and spent thousands and thousands of dollars buying draperies and televisions for psychics that were telling them they had a spell on them and the whole family is going to be, burned. And, it's really just very sad. I guess we all have our lessons, Sue, and we have to learn that discernment of trusting. But this has come up numerous times with others that I've spoken to that have been on the path a while. So there's, back in Egypt, I had this meditation. I've been back 13 times. So.
We have to have this conversation because Goddess Isis, I got to tell you tell me about, okay. Anyways,
maybe you want to join me and my group this October, because we're planning an off the charts trip, October 22nd through November 7th in the Great Pyramid. We are going to be doing soul activations. We have private time in the King's Chamber on the full moon eclipse. So it will rock your socks.
Oh, girl, I already, well, okay. So Goddess Isis came to me a few years ago, and I didn't know who she was. She came to me.
I've got God bumps.
Yay!
Goddess bumps all over me.
Goddess bumps. Yes, goddess bumps. And what had happened is, I was in meditation, and when you walk by a glass and you kind of see this reflection, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, that was how she appeared to me in messages and some other, but I call on her now for my strength and to bring that strength in and to answer some questions. And somewhere between being reunited with her and that frequency, I literally looked at my phone and it said, Egypt is calling. I have never called Egypt.
Egypt calls you. You don't decide. And One last thing about that, and I'm happy to unpack all of what's the
Oh,
magic
that's
of
right.
Egypt. But I was meditating on the balcony. So my groups are spiritually oriented. We are going for higher activations, plugging into our ancestry, coming together, remembering each other, supporting each other. So it's a highly transformational, besides life altering journey. I promise you, it did for me. But you don't have to have a near-death experience to join me.
No.
Yeah.
We don't.
So on the balcony, I asked, and this was in 2009, because I wanted my own answers and direct information from the masters on what this great awakening, great spiritual awakening was all about. We've heard about the galactic center and all of this science, nerdy stuff, but I needed to know. So my guide appeared behind me and said, imagine today you're a caterpillar and tomorrow you're a butterfly. And beware, there will be many charlatans amongst you.
Mm.
So I get stuck in the chrysalis. And that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
And we're not yet walking through walls. We're not yet fluttering above the flowers, but we're coming into this new 5D reality. And I think that's where you and I are here to serve humanity, is assisting in that process during the chrysalis of being able to trust, unfold into your greatness, into what you don't know yet. And I've got chills. Woo, woo, woo,
I
woo.
love that, because so in aligned with how I feel because I bridge the 3D with the 5D, because like we were talking about, we can have an evidential mediumship and dad comes through and we have to have a conversation around forgiveness and boundaries, right? And then we
or not. What if
what
if it's already done?
Or what if it's already done? But where I was going with this is the 3D and 5D, which I'm with you on that too. However, there's people that haven't expanded to that level yet. No right or wrong. But being able to provide real life, real time tools for them to go, okay, I need to set up boundaries. How do I forgive? What does that look like? And teaching them how to combine that 3D with 5D and that frequency and that energy, and to release it all, right? Again, it's love and trust.
And it's learning how to be in the moment. Nobody taught us how to manage our energy. So I come back to the ABCs. It sounds like very primitive in kindergarten, but when we learn how to manage our own energy, all of a sudden setting healthy boundaries becomes so much easier. And when we learn and to look at the energies of, is this my problem? Is that sick dog healing? Yes, my heart wants to heal that sick dog, but is this really my problem? Is that really the best place for where I should be putting my energy right now? Mm-hmm. And so when we can have these psychic, spiritual abilities to tune in and refine our choices in making decisions, then all of a sudden we cut away a lot of the excess, and we can just focus on this raising our vibration, which we're going to need to walk through the wall. or
the audience is going to walk through the walls. What are they talking about? Oh my gosh. You know what? It's already 8:30 something. We're going to take a quick commercial. We can totally, I have this, we can just keep going and going and going. I love it. All right. We have Amirah Hall here. We are going to take a quick commercial break on live radio. We're still live on YouTube. So if you guys would like to see us chatting over there for a few minutes, please come join us. Just go to YouTube and type in 11:50 a.m. Sue Lundquist here with Clarity with Sue. We will be right back.
Okay. All clear.
Thanks, Benny. It's so weird seeing just the picture, because usually I trust that you're sitting there, but thank you. Okay, we're still
and breathing.
And breathing. Yes. So we're still here with the on the YouTube world. Of course you would bring up Egypt, because I have known intuitively 2022 is when I was going to be in Egypt. I didn't know how. I just knew it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be around my March birthday, which is March 22nd of 2022. But who knows? But it sounds like October 22nd. Wow.
Yeah.
14 times. You've been to Egypt?
I think it'll be my 13th actually.
13th time.
Yeah. And there's some years that it's already a blur, but yes, I guided probably 10 trips. And the gal that I'm working with is an astrologer. She's also a transformational coach as well, and an Egyptologist. She's an American woman out of Florida, and she's highly aligned with.
Sign me up. Done.
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
figure it out. I'm there.
So Egypt is on a tab on my website, the Egypt tour. I'm waiting. I just sent her a message this morning. We're waiting on pricing, but all the details, our itineraries already lined out. So unfortunately, Egyptians have their own time line, and so it's kind of like Mexico time. But she's over there right now, and she said that, you know, as in terms of security, Egypt is flocked with tourists, packed. We've already had to book our private time and pay for it in the Great Pyramid. That's how confirmed we are. Wow. And so it is, there's tourists from all over the world are flooding there because people have been locked up for 2 years.
Get me to the pyramids. Exactly. Oh yeah, and ever since being reunited with Goddess Isis, and I'm still opening and shedding all of that. I'm in receivership and open, right?
She's part of known as the Three Sisters, Isis, Hathor, and Sekhmet. And Sekhmet has been working with me since my near-death experience. And she's known as the healer of healers. And so it's an incredibly powerful sisterhood lineage. Isis, the Temple of Isis, one of my tour guides, who is an Arabic Muslim man, explained that the hieroglyphics were translated into Arabic.
I've unfortunately got to interrupt you and bring you guys back. So
we're going to go back. Okay. Thank you.
Moving, go, figure it out.
Oh, of course. I love that song, Benny. That was my cheerleading song as I was overcoming these last 4 years of transition and crossing my bridge of initiation. More so. I mean, there's been plenty of that, but it's been a big journey for me coming in. All right. So you guys, welcome back. This is Clarity with Sue. Sue Lundquist here, and we have been chatting with Amirah Hall. So much information. And I'm just going to kind of recap. If you missed us at the top of the hour, it's about coming into your own. It's happening in the world. That's the general conversation, the hum of the energy. Things are bubbling to the surface. Things, fears, questions. You know, Amirah, I was thinking about when I wrote my mission statement or my why. And there's a little clever thing that I said, because I have been asking why the fear, why the abuse, why the trauma, why all the death, why is this happening to me? Then I said, I'm taking full accountability and responsibility. It is my mission that I'm taking responsibility. My why is to take accountability and responsibility for my life. I am living my life. It's not so much, but pre-awakening. It's why is this happening to me? Why, if there's a higher power, why is there so much fear? Why is there so much death? Why? And then changing that into my personal power of accountability and responsibility and saying, I can choose to go down that rabbit hole, or I can find the people that share in my frequency of love and trust and move on from there.
That's a lot to unpack.
A lot, right?
And I think we all identify it as a personal why me. I mean, I refer to that on my own homepage. I checked all the boxes. I followed and did what all the experts said. I did all the training. I'm doing it right. I was the best student. I never went to the principal's office. I never got in trouble as a kid. Why me? Okay, so You're a troublemaker. I was a shiitake disturber in a different way.
Exactly. I'm a bender, just a little bender, asking the questions.
So, I had death hit me when I was 10, or actually, I think I was 7 or 8, and then more in 10. And then, like, by the time I was 20, I think I had been to 20 funerals.
Mhm.
So early in my life, I had been exposed to death, but it didn't really, like, they were just gone. Didn't really understand. And it wasn't until, well, you helped me out by saying what you did and wondering, what am I here for? What in the heck is all of this all about? And when I was in the Peruvian jungle working with a shaman, I had a vision of coming through a stargate. And now this stargate, they told me that I was a star seed and that I came to the planet in early Egypt. And that was the spring forward to my next journey a year later to Egypt. And that brings circles around to where we are right now. You are part of that star lineage. And this message is for you and anybody else listening. And my whole body is just tingling from top to bottom. It's like, we are here to remember who we are. This is the time. It's go time. And I wrote about this in my new book called The Essential Guide to Spiritual Awakening. You know who you are. You may be struggling with the loss of relationships or careers or health, but wherever you are in that stage, this is the time to take the next step and have that trust. If any of this conversation is resonating with you, whether it's your next step for a mentor to heal that pain, because I promise you, I've been there underneath all of that icky, horrible, heavy burden that you think nobody can understand. The gemstone is waiting for you because the treasures are hidden within. And it's not until we chisel away the layers of pain and grief and depression, because my guides showed me when I did on the near-death experience is that your pain, your depression, your anger, your fear creates dis-ease, dysfunction, and death of the dreams, death of your career, death of your health. And then why are so many souls leaving? I've been saying this for 2 decades, and it's been accelerating. The last 5 years, I've been seeing more and more and more and more. Why? Because this is our nature. It's time for us to, some of us can't handle the higher vibrations. So it's time for us to step into that next phase. There is life beyond the veil. And both you and myself, we talk to dead people because they're not dead. They're
it's like
going
the shower. I
day.
use the analogy. I don't know, maybe you've heard this, Amirah, but I use when I was teaching about, connecting and what this all looks like, because I kept getting the same question. Well, what does it feel like? What does it look like? The veil, what does that even mean? And I said, well, if you can imagine, those clear shower curtains where it's kind of like foggy, but you can kind of see something in, I said, it's kind of like that, but also I can smell, sense, and feel at different times. I mean, different spirit, different times. And that's what it's like. And they're like, well, wait, what do you mean? What's expanded energy? And I think this is a conversation too, because some of the audience might be saying, well, what do you mean people are leaving because, it's too much energy for them, right? Mm-hmm. What does that really mean to people that are, and the word sadness and depression, especially coming out of these 2-3 years of initiation for the world, right? How can we explain the expansion of energy and practicality and also offer grounding tools like we did at the top of the hour, because that's really important.
So the way I understand it, and again, I preface it with that, this is only my interpretation and how I'm seeing it and perceiving it, but I feel like the frequency on the earth is accelerating. It's like somebody's turning up the heat on your stove. It just keeps turning up. Well, you might jump out off the burner, right? because it's just too hot to handle.
Right.
Some of you might take the increased heat and start adjusting in a new way. So I see it as sometimes it's a mental or emotional stage at where a person's at, and they can't process anymore. My own father, I used to beg him to quit drinking. And one time he said to me, I can't. I just can't. And I got it. There was something in me at that time that it finally clicked and went, as much as I want what I want, his soul can't do it. He doesn't have the perseverance or the soul strength at this point in this life to accomplish that goal.
And that is okay, audience. There's no
Right.
shame or guilt in any of these.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Love. Yeah.
It was pure love, and it was totally for me to finally shift and accept who he was completely. Whether he was, somebody that, and I just chose the times when I couldn't, could be around him or speak to him, but that was his threshold. Yeah. And, various people in your life, whether it's a relationship, I look back in my own marriage where my ex he pointed it to me that I needed the therapy, right? And great, I did it. And he wasn't able to, and that man took his own life a year ago. Oof. Because he stayed stuck for 30 years. Okay. He couldn't do it, or his path was traditional therapy because his intellect, that was the box or the framework that he felt safe with. And I respect that too.
Right. That's
not for me. I'm looking at the bottom line. Give me some results, man. If I don't have any results in 4 weeks, I'm out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that conversation around that too, Amirah, because and again, and I use the analogy of a hat. You can try on this hat and you can tweak it sideways. You can try on a cap. There's all different shapes and sizes. And yes, it's a life metaphor for not only humanity, but also the modalities that you choose. And they can all be interchanged. They really can. And at the top of the hour, we were talking about, or you were talking about the different trainings and modalities and certifications. And yes, the same thing for me, whether it's Reiki or whatever the modality is. And I have found the biggest lesson for me in all that, it provided a space where I could come home again. That was the biggest takeaway from all the different modalities and frequencies, because it opened me back up again. It gave me that ability, that frequency to come back home again. Home again is of love and with divine energy, Gus, God, universe, source, spirit. It's being back home and in that frequency again. And I love it. And
so powerful. I just want to add, and perhaps this is my own personality that has this issue, but I'm feeling there's an acceleration in, we can't dilly-dally along anymore. There's no more time for, poking and prodding. It's like, if you're serious, you've got to really take the bull by the horns now. Yeah. Because I do feel that, we're still in for some bumpy rides. And so how are we going to navigate the storm?
When we say an audience, again, when we say bumpy rides, there's no right or wrong in this. It is, again, that's why I do this radio show. That's why we do what we do, is to provide the tools and the frequency to say it's a learning experience. It doesn't.
And we've proven it over 40 years. There isn't one switch. There's a constant up and down and threshold, almost like the stock market, where there's ranges, and learning how to navigate it is key. And when we have that confidence and certainty and support system,
and surrender and release,
it's such a big, package to navigate. And I wish I had people like us when I was starting, because there was nobody.
Right. And that whole idea, when I said surrender, I could feel this energy of the audience going, because surrender means I have to give up my control.
Yep.
Yeah. Guess what? Choose love and trust. Right.
Guess what? I'm still working on that.
And that's the Right? Totally. I completely, and that's intimacy on a whole new level. I mean, that's where that's the juicy stuff that and it's intimacy with yourself and others when you can surrender that control. You set your intended outcome, you know it's going to happen, you feel it, you sense it, you've already sat in that chair, whatever that is. And then life kind of hands you all these beautiful experiences.
The world of spirit is tapping us on the shoulder. They're trying to help us, and we can't control that per se. We can keep shutting it down, but it is part of who we are. It is part of the world per se, beyond our conscious awareness. So this is the stage we're in of connecting and opening and relating. And so that can be kind of scary. And I think that's where we're at this threshold of really integrating that, we can't control the fact that this floor is solid. You think it is, but baby, it ain't. And
it
so
could fall right out from underneath you, and you're gonna have, and again, a corporate life, right?
That's why the magic carpet is so important. You really want to fly out of here.
Yes, come take a ride on the magic carpet. Oh, I love it. On our way to Egypt. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's International Women's Day today. And we happen to be having this conversation, and the combined energy and sisterhood that's here. It's palpable. I mean, it's beautiful. And audience, I hope that you can glean from the conversation that we're having. And again, you've heard me talk about that kind of squeaky wheel. If there's something, and if it irritated you, or if it's got you thinking, you need to listen, educate yourself. Find that person, right? Amirah?
Yeah, because trust and discernment.
Discernment.
Even I've been tricked, but I think that learning to have, I call it being in the center of my lighthouse. When you're at the top of a lighthouse, you've got 360-degree view. And so that's why I focus on developing the clairvoyance, your sixth chakra, your pineal gland. And there is no just switch it on, baby girl, whoever wants to know that. It is a process of all of your systems working together. And then you can trust it. And then when you've got the proper tools to navigate, then you can figure things out. And the healing work I do and the quantum work I do is using my clairvoyance. So that's where you can really laser focus in on something. And I really want to compliment you, Sue, because when I was looking at you earlier, I could see this really radiant golden crown sitting on your head. You look like the high priestess and on the cards. And I felt Egypt. And this was before the conversation began. And I really admire that, because to me, looking at you energetically, you have a high level of comprehension, understanding, and authority, spiritual authority. And, it's great to have a conversation and match crowns. I call them matching crown chakras.
Crowns to crowns, yes.
Crowns to
It's
crowns.
like when I can get into this exchange, again, it's other things, but when I can get into this exchange, and of course it's speaking our truth and being reunited again. So of course there's clearing happening. But when I can do this, it's almost as though my human body is just going to take a side note and just sit over there and let the girls have their fun.
What did you say about control? Isn't it fun when we just let go? Because that true spirit, that power. And, people often ask me, well, what do you mean, Amirah, I'm powerful? I'm like, oh gosh, you have no idea. Even me, I'm still learning about my true power.
Oh, totally. Yes. And then the conversation, we're going to have lots of conversations now, girl. It's a done deal. I'm going to fix our crowns, my crown.
Keep it straight and shiny. That's all we want. And
straight and
then,
shiny.
Then it's like a
superconductor.
It just goes, it's just sending it. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. All right. Well, we're about 8:53. We've got just a couple more minutes. This has been a juicy and quick hour to have this beautiful conversation with you. If you could give out some websites, some information, how people could get a hold of you, that would be really helpful. And again, you alluded to your book. I'm sorry, I do not have that on my one sheet, and I don't know why I don't, but please remind everybody to get a hold of it.
It's called The Essential Guide to Spiritual Awakening. And I give an overview of what it's all about, but more than that, I give you some tips and tools to navigate it, as well as I share some of the details of my my near-death experience.
I love
yes, and that's all available at amirahhall.com. That's AMIRAH and then HALL.com. I also have a free downloadable stress buster. And stress buster is what I call an energy shower. And so it's like a quantum shower of just resetting your energy. So using some quantum tools to just, when you're having a stressful day and having a hard time focusing or bombarded with chaos, just sit down and release all the energies. There's no effort, just listen. 15 minutes. Don't drive doing it. No multitasking. Okay. Give yourself you can't multitask. Well, some people multitask in the shower, but just consider yourself in the sacred moment of having a shower. So.
And again, Amirah, it goes back to the top of the hour. Focus on being in the moment. You had said that Oprah Winfrey, when she's doing her guest presentation, she's so grounded. She's so in that moment and so real and so there. Yeah. Honor yourself. You are worthy of that gift. You are worthy of being a master of your own reality, quite honestly, and being in that moment. I love that. So I'm going to remind the audience, amirahhall.com. I'm going to spell that out for you guys. But again, if you're driving, just go to claritywithsue.com and you can get all this information. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll get all of her links and information. It's amirahhall.com, AMIRAH, Hall, HALL.com. You can check out her book. You can check out her free stress buster, wash away all those wares and where's it giggly gump. You know what I see when whether it's myself or clients, those Velcro suits and then the Velcro balls, I see them stuck on clients and I'm like, you need to shake it off, like the ducks.
They're called will nots. They will not come off.
They're called will nots. Okay, you have that. I just shoulda, coulda, woulda all over myself.
The will not.
Will not.
Well, and here again, we'd like to do it all, like take a buffet and eat it all in one bite, but we've got stages, so be gentle with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. But then again, if you want an activation of all lifetimes, come with us to Egypt.
Yes, oh my gosh. October 22nd. Oh, Egypt, I got your call. I'm coming.
The energy's building. I can feel it. It's just going to be off the charts. And all the details, I can't, too much energy right now on what we're all talking about, but all the details are on the website on the importance of it and the astrological aspect. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, you can get a hold of Amirah Hall, educator, teacher, facilitator, cleanser of energy and all the good quantum soup and juiciness, right? So if what we were talking about, that clarity, that trust, that love, that discernment, that trust in who you are, if you're awakening meaning there's a different frequency, there's a different energy, something is tapping your nervous system, that kind of spiritual thing that's going on. And I say thing because there's no real adjective to describe it. I mean, we could try in the humanness of it, but there is something evolutionally, is that a word, happening across the board, and it's happening for you too. So if this resonates with you, you got to go and check out our website. So go to amirahhall.com. And of course, if you're driving, just go to claritywithsue.com and we will get you all of that information. Crowns, sisterhoods in crowns. Miss Amirah, thank you. What an absolute blessing it has been to align and engage, dance and play in our energy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you with all my heart and all my soul and sisterhood.
And I'll see you in Egypt.
Maybe sooner. You never know, huh?
Yes, maybe. All right, guys, that is it for us today. We're going to see you next week. I'm not sure who the show, what we're got, but it's all going to be juicy and loving fun.